As we like to say on the other podcasts, what a difference a week can make. Just a week ago, felt like the Knicks were in an absolute tailspin. They lost 5 of 7, no defensive identity, teams with long wings, they abuse us. And then starting off with that game against the Atlanta Hawks on Martin Luther King Day, Trae Young coming in, a guy who has obviously been a Knicks nemesis. And the Knicks go out there and they put on a defensive show like you haven't seen. Mikal Bridges locks up Trae Young and then abuses him in the post, in close on the offensive end. I believe he had 26 points that night, and he only shot 2 threes against the Hawks. And then we also saw an adjustment from Tibbs, where we saw more guys getting in the game earlier, expanding the rotation. Stints where we have 4 bench players out on the floor in the first quarter. And all we've seen since then is an extension. And it has led to a 4-game winning streak for our New York Knicks. And that also includes last night's absolute domination of the Memphis Grizzlies, who had come in winning 6 in a row. Many people feel they are one of the best teams in the West outside of OKC, who seems to be pretty much the class of the league right now. And what do the Knicks do? They win this game almost wire to wire. Memphis had a 2-point lead at some point in the first quarter, but the Knicks end up winning 143-106. Ja Morant got put in Mikal Jail, and the Knicks got it done. Hey, man, in just a small amount of time, we got to sometimes realize that we got to take it easy and not get too high or too low. Because I know me personally, when we lost 5 of 7 here recently, I said, hey, man, we beat up on all these teams in December. Now the schedule's getting a little bit tougher, and it doesn't look like this Knicks team is up to the task. It doesn't look like we're true championship contenders. Call me what you want, man. Flip-flop, whatever. You look at that game against the Grizllies, that being the end of that being hopefully not the end, but that being the most recent part of a 4-game win streak with other good wins against a Hawks team that came in hot, a Kings team that came in and had won 10 out of their last 12 after switching up and making Doug Christie their coach. And the Knicks have dominated 3 of these last 4 games. The one other game being the game against Brooklyn, the worst team of them all, that we had to go to OT to win 99-95. Knicks couldn't shoot that day. But the big difference that you have seen is the defense. As Mikal goes, this team goes. Bridges, when he's locked in and he's playing active point of attack defense, when he's navigating screens and he is then trailing and being able to affect potential shot makers that are smaller than him with his extremely long arms. I heard somebody say he can touch his knees when he's standing up. When he's doing that and when he's being aggressive, going to the basket on offense, this is an entirely different team. As Bridges goes, this team goes. And we've been able to see Bridges now put it together in the month of December when the Knicks went 12-2, and Bridges is one of the better players in the NBA on both ends of the floor. And then at the beginning of this month of January, scuffled a little bit. All of a sudden, the 3 wasn't falling. The defensive effort wasn't consistently there. And, I got a little bit nervous. I'm like, is this going to be how it is, just really streaky, where he starts off the season and he's having a tough time. December, he turns it up, and then January, he, totally falls off. But what we've seen from Bridges here recently is exactly what we need to see. I think any conversation about the game specifically against the Grizzlies has to start with Mikal Bridges. He was 12 of 19 2 of 6 from 3. Excellent defense on John Morant. John Morant gave up. John Morant got to a point where he's like, I just, all right, okay, enough. I've had enough. He did not want to deal with it. We have Knicks new media royalty in the building right now. My guy, Cody Glock. If you watch the blueprint, as I like to call it, or the prototype, as I like to refer to as CP the franchise, him and Alex over there, they do Knicks Fan TV. Everybody knows it. Cody Glock is the most well-known contributor to that. If he took a while to make his debut this season, but when he came in, and I know with all the Knicks people, there was a buzz because Cody Glock was back. He's an absolute legend to Knicks fans, and I very much appreciate you being in the chat. Cody Glock, like you said, salute to you as well, sir. Yeah, and if you're in the chat right now, if you are on YouTube, Twitch, X, or you are on Instagram, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. The best place is to go over to the YouTube. There is a link in the bio. You go over there, you hit that subscribe, and then that is the best way for me to be able to interact with you. When we're on. Me and my pops also do a weekly podcast. It's called He Did This to Me. Knicks, Jets, Mets, etc. We talk about the biggest sports stories of the day. I really appreciate all the love, but let's get back to these Knicks, man. Yo, man, look, Bridges gets a lot of credit because Bridges has been doing his thing, and when Bridges plays up to a certain way, then this whole team is different. We have a whole different vibe about us, and it gives you that third impact player on both sides of the floor that he can consistently be. That's clear. We do need to see a little bit more consistency over the course of the season, but I feel great about where Bridges is at right now. And I think that he will continue to mature and continue to adjust and give you that 3-level scorer and elite wing defender as he continues to get, comfortable in that orange and blue. I know he played in Brooklyn. I know that's in New York. Nothing's like wearing that orange and blue. But we also got to give credit to my guy, the guy who is often maligned, the guy who even I this year for the first time questioned somewhat. I'm not going to say I was part of the Minutes Police, but I might have been a cadet. But you got to give credit to Tom Thibodeau, man. I said it after the Hawks game. You saw that there was the two things that people have the most issue with Tibbs about. An adjustment had been made. I don't know if somebody got in Tibbs' ear like a Leon Rose, if the players, came and they got to Tibbs, maybe, they all talked to Brunson talks to Tibbs, or maybe Tibbs is on Twitter. He's on X. I highly doubt that. Maybe Tibbs watches the show and he's heard me talk about it. I think that's what I think it is. I think Tibbs is a fan of the show. Tibbs, if you in the chat, man, holla at us, Tibbs. But in that Atlanta game, it was clear. It was clear that somebody got to this dude and somehow, some way, he decided to open up the rotation. 4 bench players all in the first quarter. With Cat getting extensive run then in the second quarter. And we saw it, and we hoped that it was something that we were going to continue to see. That it was not an anomaly, but a sign of things to come. And we've seen that only grow over these last 4 games. Tibbs has expanded the rotation, and it's all the things that we all asked for. Guys are more fresh at the end of the game and how they can finish. And over the long run, we know that that'll just bring down on their total minutes. And I don't think that that's always been a fair criticism of Tibbs this, as far as the whole minutes thing. Last year especially, I thought it was overblown. But this year, just raw numbers, when you got number 1, 2, and 7 in minutes per game, one of those guys being OG, you kind of feel like that's got to slow down. And then when you got the team seeming like they're wilting at the ends of games, that OKC game is the one you think about, that Detroit game as well. But the OKC game, you look at that game, we were dominating that game through 3 quarters and they just waxed us in the fourth. And then you go and you look at the box score and it's like all their starters played like 33, 32 minutes and all our starters played like 41, 40. Is that catching up? Is that what it is? But then the Knicks made the adjustment and it's continued since then. And I couldn't be more happy to see it. And last night against Memphis, the bench had its best night of the season. We're going to talk about the bench extensively, but I'm just saying we got to stop and we got to give Tibbs some love for making the adjustment. There was people in my comments when, I made a reel about, if this team is going to continue to mature, then we're going to need everybody to get better and evolve, including the coach. And they were like, Tibbs is no dog. He'll never change, blah, blah, blah. He's clearly made an adjustment when it comes to the rotation. And the other adjustment that he has made that is so key is we have diversified how we point of attack and pick and roll defend. So important. We are not out here just in easy drop coverage like we've been from the first play of the season when Jason Tatum walked into an easy three. We have started to try to get over screens. We've started to occasionally blitz and try to wall them up to one side. And that's what you have to do against these great players, because if you show them the same look all the time, I don't care how good it is, they're going to figure it out. And that has been an adjustment. And it's been led by Mikal Bridges, because Mikal Bridges has been taking on the small guard and basically just putting them in Mikal Jail as a wrap. Clank, clank. Shout out to my man CP, my guy who, is a guest here sometimes on Nick and Knicks. I've collaborated very many times. He said, this man said a cadet. I'm telling you, man, I was, I've been fighting the minutes police so much, man, but this was the first time a little bit earlier this year where I was like, yo, man, this is getting kind of excessive. But it looked great. It looked great these last couple nights, man. It looked great these last 4 games. And it's even the Atlanta game, we saw it start, and it's continued to blossom. And some of these bench players have been coming up with huge performances. Darlene, always appreciate you in the chat. Very consistent contributor. Tim's rotation was very good. No one can argue about that. And last night I saw a little bit more of a wrinkle to the defense where Cat is not playing. He wasn't playing in as deep of drop coverage on the pick and roll with John Morant. And that's great because, once he gets ahead of steam, he's very hard to deal with. And I've already said it a few times. I'm going to say it a few more. I cannot say enough about the defense that Mikal Bridges played on John Morant. John Morant, as we know, is one of the most dynamic. And his athletic ability and what he can do, we've never seen anything like this in the league, really. People talk about Iverson. Iverson had bounce. He did not have John Morant bounce. And he has been an absolute tough cover since he's been in the league for whoever deals with him. And yesterday, Mikal made him give up. There was times in the third quarter where I saw where he got the ball and he just did not want it. His very first drive, Mikal forced him to the corner. He ends up throwing the ball away. And wow, did those Memphis Grizzlies throw the ball away. They are 29th in the NBA in turnovers. And the Knicks, they took advantage of that last night. They had 36 points off of turnovers. The Knicks had a season high 20 steals. They turned over the Memphis Grizzlies, let's find this number, 26 times. They just played excellent connected defense. Last night, we saw this team have a little bit of not just the intensity, but they had a little bit of an extra level when it came to the connectivity of the defense. There were so many times where I saw multiple rotations, where I saw a guy have to run a guy off a three, and somebody be able to step up. And then when that guy went to make the pass, somebody was there. And if they weren't snatching it and running the other way, they were at least there so that that guy was not open either. It's the best defense we've seen all season. My guy, Cody Glock, he said he definitely did not want to be there yesterday. I'm telling you, in the third quarter, there was times where Ja was like, yeah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. He only played, how many? I know he didn't play a ton of minutes yesterday either. He only played 27 minutes. I know that it was a blowout late, so obviously they kind of waved the white flag, but Ja didn't even look like himself. And that is 100% because of what Mikal Bridges was doing to him. Blocking his shot from behind, and then that team, they play hard. They're supposed to, come at you in waves. They're supposed to have this great bench. They're supposed to be, one of the better defensive teams in the league. On top of that, offensively, they've been moving up. Their top 6 in offensive rating and defensive rating. Man, they look like some bums compared to the Knicks last night. Keep it a buck. I know they're a good team, and in NBA teams, every team has a bad night. You see it all the time in the league, and we've seen it with our own Knicks, that Utah game. But coming into the Garden, you've won 6 straight. You would think they would be up for that game. It did not matter. It did not matter if they were up or not because the Knicks took their spirit and they took it early. The Knicks had a lead at halftime. I think it was 60-54, if I remember correctly, 52 maybe. But then they come out in that third quarter and they just night. They put the straight up butters, the Tim right on their neck and said, this game's over, guys. It's over. It's a wrap. Cat started getting it going. OG's looking confident again, hitting threes. He's playing D, like my man Cody Glock said. OG, he just straight up clamped up Triple J. And he, Jaren Jackson Jr., he was doing his best to try to keep them in the game at certain times. He's got that little lefty joint that, he can get off at different angles and is very, very tough to stop. He's definitely taken a jump this year when it comes to his offensive ability. We know he's a good defender. He had 21 points, 8 of 14, pretty good. Only had 4 rebounds, did have 2 blocks, turned the ball over 4 times. That Memphis team, I don't understand. I know they like to run and they like to play fast, and sometimes, that leads to some turnovers. But if you're going to play meaningful games in May and June, and you that loosey-goosey with the ball, I don't see how that ain't going to work. Because a team like the Knicks, we're going to take that and we're going to go down and we are going to convert it into points. And the Knicks did have 36 points off of turnovers. The Knicks had 49 points, fast break points. 49 fast break points for the Knicks last night. When the Knicks play like that, they are extremely tough to beat. And again, that starts on the defense. When the Knicks play defense like that, they are not taking the ball out of the basket. When they're getting those turnovers, they're getting out in transition. Josh Hart, as we know, is the best transition layer up of the ball other than LeBron James. Full speed, each hand don't matter. He gonna finish. And have you been noticing recently, Mikal, when he gets out there, he gets those long strides and them long arms. And it's just like, once he starts taking those long strides, there ain't nothing you could do with him. And he's just, like I've really, really, really been impressed by Mikal's offensive ability when he goes to the hole, because when he gets all the way to it, he's so long. Then if he can't get quite all the way to it, he's good at just putting up and kissing it off the glass. And as we know, if he's at that point and he's in the paint, at any time he can pull up, whether it be off either foot, a little turnaround fadeaway, don't matter. And that little midi jumper of his is about as automatic as it gets. My man Keith Watkins, always showing love. Appreciate you. Greetings to you, sir, out there in enemy territory. But my man is a Knicks, Mets, Jets fan. love when my man Keith can be up in here, and he's about as he's a super fan, yo. When we come out with merch, Keith, you ain't even got to buy your first piece of merch. I'm sending it to you. It's coming soon, too. It's coming soon. These Knicks, man, they really did look like a contender last night against a good team. A lot of people have been asking for a signature win. There's your signature win. And I think that win against Sacramento, especially considering that they were 10-2 since they made the coaching trade, and we handled them fairly easily, I think that's another one that it's a very good win. Now coming up, we have Denver, we have LA, we have Houston. All tough games, especially that Houston game. That's one I'm really looking forward to. But remember, we whacked Denver when we went out there to the Mile High City. So they are definitely going to be coming in focused and ready. They have Aaron Gordon back. He was hurt the last time we played him, and Joker just come back from an injury. So that's going to be a tough one tomorrow. Yeah, Houston, I agree with you, Cody. They are tough, man. They are tough. They got a lot of good young players that are leveling up. And on top of that, man, they're well coached, Joe. Celtics, listen, the Celtics won the chip last year, so it's hard to say that they made a mistake. But personally, I think Udoka is an excellent coach. I thought the way that whole thing went down was kind of whack. And that Houston team, they are long. They play good defense. They play hard every single night. And they got some guys who can get some buckets. That kid Sengun, he nice. I remember seeing Sengun when he was in summer league, and I was like, yo, he's nice. You can see immediately that this kid was extremely skilled. They call him Baby Joker. He's having a fantastic season. Still very young, man. Dylan Brooks, a very annoying guy, but having a guy or two like that on your squad is not the worst thing in the world. Just don't come in dressing like Stone Cold and then let LeBron bust your ass again. No, that was an L for you, Dylan Brooks. Jalen Green is crazy explosive, can be a bucket for sure. Yeah, man. That team is for real, man. And they're second in the Western Conference behind OKC, which, most people feel like OKC is the best team in the league right now. I think it's kind of hard to argue that. And if they get healthy like that, if they're missing Chet and, iHeart has been in and out of the lineup. Houston can also take themselves out of the game. That's why I am not worried. Cody, I totally agree. And I think the key to that game is going to be getting off to a good start. Get off to a good start. They're going to make a couple runs at it. But if you get off to a good start and you make them where they're down by 8-12 and they got to keep coming back, getting it to 4, but you push it back to 8-12, I do think they'll wilt in the end. But you don't want to be like trying to come back on that team in the fourth quarter. No. Especially not at home. We got to take care of business, man, at the Garden. We've played very well here recently at the Garden. Going back to last season, we had a good home record. This year, that's been up and down. Our home and our away records have been similar. But I definitely think that, the Knicks, they have a chance on this homestand to establish some home dominance. And then Boston they're one game ahead of us, yo. They're one game ahead. They right there, man. Boston is rhyme for the look. All them shooting up threes early without any sort of penetration and pause. But I don't see that, man. I thought it was going to catch up to Boston last year. I think it would have been super interesting, even if we could, even though we lost Julius, let's just say OG and Josh Hart stay, and then you stay healthy, and then we beat the Pacers, and when we play Boston, that would have been a series, yo. That would have been a series. And this year, we have the offense. We've been top 3 in offensive rating all season, top 3 or 4. We've put up 143 points in back-to-back games, which is the first time that's happened since 1965. This Knicks offense is elite. so we can score with the Boston. If I see what I've seen these last 4 games, if I can see that now consistently for another week or two, I feel like we could beat anybody. I ain't scared of nobody if we play defense like that. And we know we can do it. I tweeted last night, Knicks, I have seen this defense, and I will accept nothing less for the rest of this game and for the rest of this season. We know we can do it. So now it's just up to us to bring it on a consistent basis. And one guy I feel like who will hold people accountable, including himself, Mr. Everything, heart of the city, pun intended, Josh Hartman. Excellent. People started mumbling about Josh Hart possibly being an all-star a couple weeks ago. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool, whatever. I'm now on board, man. Josh Hart is an all-star, yo. Josh Hart is an all-star. Coach, what's good, man? Good to see you back in here. Saluting people, saluting Keith Watkins, saluting Darlene, giving me my P's as well. Appreciate you, Coach, man. Good to see you back here. Great contributor. Cody Glock, the reason I love this roster is because all around the league, we have had no bad matchups. Very versatile. Very versatile, and we can throw a lot of different things at these different teams. And when Wingstop, as some like to call them, they weren't living up to it early. But what we've been seeing from OG and Mikal recently, when they play defense like that, and OG can guard your 2, your 1 through your 4, and Mikal can guard your 1 through your 3, man. If they're playing defense like that, the Knicks are a problem for the Eastern Conference, for the entire league. We just got to see it consistently. And if you want to talk about defensive versatility and versatility just overall on this team, you got to talk about our man off the bench, Precious Achua. Kid Kazuntite, the big sneeze. Yo, Precious, man. Precious he's coming back from that hamstring. He's getting some confidence, and he is coming out here and just making some eye-popping plays. He can switch on to guards. He can play centers. He can play power forwards. He can play small forwards. He runs the wing on the break. Crazy. I mean, this is now the game against Washington, and then last night against the Grizllies. Crazy dunks. Don't stop jumping with him, man. When he got a full head of steam, get out the way. Just duck and run on down. Go play offense. But we thought that was the dunk of the night. Bridges catches a little oop from OG. That was cool. Nah, was it from OG or was it from Josh Hart? Somebody remind me. But then my man Deuce. And it's an action that the Knicks have been running a lot recently where they run a pick and roll, and then the wing on the side that the ball handler is going to, he pinches in a little bit. And if that guy goes to help, as opposed to trying to fade to the corner to get a 3, he slices back door. I saw it work for the Knicks a couple times. I saw, I want to say Bridges got a dunk off of it early. And then with my man, Tyler Killer Kolick, the rook that everybody wants to see, he took advantage of his garbage time. He hit a 3, and he drops a dime backdoor to our guy, Deuce McBride, who then he's on the left side, comes to a jump stop on 2 feet, cocks it back with the right. Boom. Had the whole Knicks bench losing their mind. There was a lot of clips of the Knicks bench having a good time. I think that one with Deuce, OG hit the ground. He looked like he was about to perish. Like they had to bring him back. They had to bring him back to life. It was like he got the Holy Ghost. Deuce gave OG the Holy Ghost with that dunk, yo. Yeah, it was crazy. Me and my son were watching it together. We got real hype for that. Man, that game was a party. That game against the Grizzlies, man, that was a part. I don't know if I tweeted this last night or I just thought it, but we've seen other teams party in the Garden where, like, a guy like Steph is, having 60, Kobe's having 60, everybody going crazy. The Garden crowd is even starting to ooh and ah. I'm pretty sure that Steph and Kobe both got MVP chants in Madison Square Garden, which is a disgrace in its own right. And then we have nights like that, but it seems like it's always the other squad. And some dude like Lou Amundsen is getting done up. But last night, man, the Knicks had the party, and it was a full team effort. That was the coolest thing. It wasn't like we like one guy was just going crazy. The whole squad was going crazy. And Mikal Bridges especially, that dude, man. 28 big points last night for Mikal. Like we said, I mean, the percentages were all great. And Josh Hart, can a guy have more of an impact when he scores 4 points? These was light stats for Josh Hart. Really, 4 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. It's nothing major for Josh. Nothing major. But he continues to be, in my opinion, just the glue of this team. One of my favorite Knicks in a really, really, really long time. He really legitimately looks like, I thought, this is a perfect way to put it. And it was Doug Christie, new coach of the Kings, who said it after the game. He compared Josh Hart to Dennis Rodman. When it comes to rebounding, there's no bigger honor than to be compared to the GOAT. And Josh Hart, his ability to track the ball, his relentless pursuit, his strong hands, and his understanding of the trajectory. I guess that's track the ball, but it deserves more explanation, man. The way he understands how that ball is coming off the rim and its trajectory and gets to that spot and beats guys to the ball, it's just excellent to watch. And in the Atlanta game, that was he made a fantastic play to basically ice that game, where he runs in from the 3-point line after no. This is against the Nets. Yes. Cam Johnson missed the 3. Josh Hart sprints in, snatches the ball, gets there on the baseline, steps on the 1 foot, looks over, calls timeout, Knicks win. He's got 6 triple doubles this year. He's creeping up on Clyde, who has 8 in a season, going for that Knicks record. I'm very confident he'll get it. And he's been scoring, man. When Josh Hart can shoot at this level, it makes the Knicks so dangerous. We've seen it. We've seen him be hot as a Knick. When he first got to the Knicks, he couldn't miss. People in Portland were like, yo, who is this guy? Then that year in the playoffs, fell off. Last year was the opposite. During the season, couldn't shoot. Playoffs, all of a sudden, he could. Yo, Cody, man, we on the same page, baby. I just said that. Doug Christie, yeah. Remind him of Dennis Rodman. This great minds think alike. It's you can't get a better comparison as far as rebounding. I mean, and at the end of the day, he's 6'4", man. He's 6'4". It's insane what he's doing. He's averaging almost 10 rebounds a game, 9.8, 13.9, so 14 points a game, 5.7 assists, and he's shooting 35% from 3. Early on in the year, he was shooting like 40% from 3, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But if Josh Hart, all I need from you is 35, and take him confidently. And we've been running the offense through him some. Like last night, Brunson was in foul trouble. Picked up his 4th foul, I want to say, in the second quarter. If it wasn't early in the third, I think it might have been even in the second quarter. He picked up his 4th foul. Yeah, him and Bane, they were trying to body. Everybody's always trying to bully Brunson, and you can bully him all you want. Brunson going to do his thing. He's going to get his. But because Brunson had the 5 fouls, we had a little bit more of Josh, being the playmaker. And obviously, besides Brunson, he's the best playmaker that we have on the roster. Maybe Tyler Cole, but he doesn't get any burn. Let's continue to talk about this bench, man. Deuce McBride, Huge game for him. Huge game for him. And what I liked about it was that it wasn't all three balls. In fact, he was 2 of 7 from three. But he ends up with 14 points. The thunderous dunk. He had a little pump fake step back three after that. The confidence is coming for Deuce. Confidence in his shot, confidence in his legs because he's coming back from those injuries. And he is starting to look like the Deuce that we have seen at certain points earlier in this season and definitely last season. Cody Glock, I agree with you, man. I missed this version of Deuce. Absolutely, I did. And it's good to have him back. And I think that as he continues, I saw not only the confidence in his body yesterday, obviously that monstrous dunk, but I saw confidence in just, his back, like, when he stepped back and hit the three after the dunk, like he looked like himself, man. He's starting to get it back. And I know when, you have those lower body injuries, now you're not getting as much lift. So I think it's just a combination of him getting healthy and him getting time on the floor. And we need that. Campaign. It's worth mentioning every time how I can't believe that I actually like this guy because I could not stand him before. And he is he's in the love him when you're on your team, but hate him when he's not on your team Hall of Fame campaign. But he's had a very good stretch here recently. I thought one of the most glaring things that made, either Tibbs make a realization or somebody within the organization make a realization. That game before Atlanta, off the top of my head, I can't remember who we were playing, but it was a bad loss. Yes, I know. It was the Wolves. Bad loss. Friday night Knicks. You got Julius coming back to the back to the Garden. And the Timberwolves beat the Knicks 116-99 to kill us in the second half. It was a bad loss. One of the most glaring things to happen or stories to come out of that game was Campaign had like 16 points in like 5 minutes and then didn't play at all in the second half. And it was like, yo, Tibbs, come on, man. What are we doing here? Well, Campaign's been getting some more consistent minutes. Campaign's been a little bit more consistent with his play. He's been playing tough defense. And in the fourth quarter, when the Grizllies showed a little bit of life yesterday, he got 3 like back-to-back fantastic finishes in the paint, getting all the way to the rim, scoop shot. 2 of them could have been fouls, especially that one with Zach Edey. Campaign has been great, man, off the bench. I feel you, Cody. This is my first year ever in my life liking Campaign. I made a reel about how much I couldn't stand him last year when he was just last year. But, he gives you a lot of energy. And when he's hitting his shot, that shot in the corner, OG kicked it out to him. OG has some good passes last night. That precious dunk was an OG pass. He kicked it out to Campaign for the 3. I thought OG had a real nice little floor game yesterday, man. He's been scoring. He's been shooting the ball better. He's been a little bit more aggressive. He's 15 points. He's a plus 41 on the night. 3 of 4 from 3. That's what we need from you, OG. You hitting that 3 ball. And I thought he was just being more decisive and not get everything OG does has to be like 2, maybe 3 dribbles or less. OG dribbles 3 times. And that 4th dribble, it's getting stripped. He gets into the paint. He's a little bit. Sometimes I'm like, it's amazing that he gets in there and can't finish. And then other times he makes a little nice scoop shot, whatever. It's tough with OG to know what you're going to get from night to night on an offensive basis. But these last 2 games is the version of OG that, we hope we can see. And I think that OG is definitely going to continue to benefit from an expanded rotation and us getting him some more time to be able to, chill and catch his breath a little bit. OG looked good when we had the long break and we came back. He looked like he had a little more bounce to his step, a little bit more legs, going up, finishing it, dunking it with 2 hands. I like what I saw out of OG last night. And like I said, the passing out of OG last night was about as good as I've ever seen it. He had 4 assists. Brunson had 6 assists. Mikal Bridges had 6 assists. Josh Hart had 5. Karl-Anthony Towns, he only had 1. He should have had more than 1 because it seemed like he was dropping dimes. That one was a backdoor to Bridges, I believe. And the Knicks end up with a total of, how many assists did the Knicks have last night? I want to say it was like 32 assists. 32 assists, and the Knicks are now 18-1 when they have 30 assists or more in a game this season. Last year, we had more than 30 assists, 11 games all season. It's crazy, yo. It's a totally different team. And the reason it's a totally different team, we got to talk about Karl Anthony Towns, the big cat, the big bodega cat, the big purr. Yo, another great game by Cat, man. Cat was always the guy who's got like a quiet 24 and 11. He's averaging 14 rebounds a game this season. He hurt the thumb, struggling a little bit, shooting the ball. Love to see that first three go down. It was a deep one too. He ends up 2 of 4 from three. But overall, he's 9 of 17. And in the third quarter, he got annoyed with the refs, which I totally agree with them. They do a shitty job of officiating, Cat. And then he got mad and started going to the rack on kids. He was getting and-ones, flipping it. He was snatching boards and putting it back in. Okay, he was getting hyped up in the crowd. His dad is right behind him, getting hyped after he gets the and-one. He's talking shit. There was a couple times I thought he might get a tech. He's yelling at the refs. He typically, though, he yells and-one or he yells foul. But he looks him right in the face when he does it. He's a big 7-foot monster of a human. And, I think he does a good job of not saying anything like wild, disrespectful. So therefore they try not to give him text, but they got to start officiating him better, man. The guy gets fouled, man. Him, Brunson, but specifically Cat this year, it's been wild how the whistle goes against him, but he never seems to get that whistle when he's on the offensive end. This is a really good point by my man Cody Glock. To see a shot that looks like campaign go in from three can be demoralizing feeling. That's very underrated trait in the NBA. Ugly shot demoralization. That shit is true because I've been on the other end of it, man. Last year when he was on Philly, when he got hot in that one game and he takes that shot, that stupid slingshot from his friggin' right pocket that he shoots with his left hand, and you're like, man, there ain't no way that shit going in. And when it swishes, you're like, oh, this motherfucker. And now he's dancing and shit. Yo, Cody, man, you couldn't have said it any better than that right there, man. Yo, that ugly shot demoralization, yo. They're gonna make that in 2K. That's going to be one of your attributes that you can have. But I'm telling you, that shot's so fucking ugly. But I enjoy it now. I enjoy it. And I loved in the game yesterday, early in the fourth quarter, where the ball got kicked to him and he could have taken a three. And he instead saw that there was a defensive space there to get through. He slips through it, gets to the rim, puts up the scoop lefty. I love that from him. I love when he's not just slinging it. Yo, man. Cody, that shit was hilarious. Yeah, man. Look, Cam, got to keep getting him minutes. Landry Shamet, I would like to see a little more from Landry. I know in the game against the Kings, he hit 3 threes. He had 9 points, like early. Looked pretty good. But I don't know, man. Shout out to my guy CP the franchise. I was listening to him talking earlier, and I don't know. There's not a lot of options out there. We're going to talk a little bit about the Knicks and what they might do with the trade deadline here in a second, but not a lot of options out there, but a Landry Shamet upgrade. The Knicks could use that. I don't know if Landry Shamet is the eighth man on a championship team. And as this trade line comes up, trade deadline where Leon Rose, he's been active every single season. As the Knicks president, he has always made a deal. So far, no in-season deals. We typically make our deals even before the trade deadline. Remember, OG happened around like New Year's last year. But I think that if you look at this team, man, we could use a little bit of an upgrade on the wing. I just don't know how easy it is going to be to do that. Because of the money, because of the second apron and how it's set up, we can't send out more money than we take in. And if you want to talk about people with contracts that might be valuable to other people, you're talking about Precious Achua. You're talking about Deuce McBride. You're talking about Cam. We can't lose any of them because now you're just creating another hole to plug this one over here. They're all rotation players. They're all necessary and important to this Knicks team. And then the other person who has the money, but with his health here recently, I'm not exactly sure if other teams are going to be too interested. But with that around $10 to $12 million a year salary, could possibly be a number that we could ship out to bring something back of significance. Is my guy, as Cody Glock would call him, Mitchie no Snitchy, Mitchell Robinson. This is my stance on that. Can't trade Mitch. First of all, his stock is at an all-time low due to the injuries. I don't really see a team being willing to give up too much for Mitchell Robinson without being able to see him get back on the floor. When he's going to get back on the floor, who knows? You hear different. It was January. It was, it was February. But let's be serious. The dude got hurt last May and got surgery last May. The fact that he's not back yet is very, very curious to me. Okay. And when he's going to come back, we don't know. But you got to be hopeful that he comes back this year. And if Mitch Robinson can come back and he can give you like 12 to 15 minutes of peak Mitch, or fuck peak Mitch. Give me 80% of peak Mitch. If he can give you 12 to 15 minutes of that, it's exactly what this team needs. A rim protector, an offensive rebounder, an elite guarder of the pick and roll. I don't know if I've ever seen a player disrupt the pick and roll better than Mitchell Robinson. That series we lost, what is it, 21 to the Atlanta Hawks, first year, the We Believe team. Yo, if Mitchell Robinson plays in that series, Trae Young ain't doing all that shit. Clint Capella ain't getting off like that. His ability to guard the pick and roll is as good as it gets. We saw what he did to Embiid last year before Embiid did that dirty shit and got him up out of there. I want to see Mitchie come back, and I want to see Mitch be able to give me 12, 15 minutes. That's all I need from you, baby. 12 to 15. A little bit more. Occasionally, we might even throw you on the floor with Cat, but I don't think they're going to be on the floor too often together because that ruins that whole 5-out system that we run. And I think that Precious complements him a little bit more if we're going to have a bench player at the 4. But if we can get him to the point where we can keep him on the floor for a stretch run and throughout the playoffs, totally changes this team. He's exactly what this team needs. I don't think that we're going to do much on the trade market this year. I think on the buyout market, a couple different guys. If we can get a wing scorer off the buyout market, I know I heard Devontae Green. I think CP the franchise talked about that earlier. I like Devontae Green, shoots like 38% from 3, plays some defense, a little bit of an upgrade on Shamet. He's only making like $2 million. So if we could give up like a Sims for him, I'm with that. Sims, I'm over. I'm over the simulation. My guy has 0 offensive game, and he's regressed. I almost feel like he hasn't gotten any better since we started with him, and I just don't see it. His offensive game is so limited, man. This summer, him and Mike Bibby, he's shooting jump shots with both hands and shit. And, he's looking all nice. None of that. Like my man Cody Glock said in the chat, 0 aura from Sims. I will say he is doing something right. I don't know if anybody has seen on Instagram. He if you want his relations, his shorty, who posts about, posts and tags him a lot. He's doing all right. He's doing okay. But she might need to get ready to, move to Detroit or New Orleans or something, because I think if somebody gets moved, it's going to be a Sims for, a player in that salary range. And then there's some other guys that if they were able to get bought out, the Knicks might be interested in. But we're not making a big move. I don't see it. Cody makes a good point, man. He says Huckporty got more than Sims. He doesn't even play. That's facts. That's facts. I'm Huckporty Hive. I wanted to see. I was at a point when Sims get minutes, like all these times that when the 5 games that Cats missed and Sims starts, I'm like, man, put Hupporty in there. He gives you way more offensively, defensively, energetically, and like you said, aura. I like Hupporty. I think that Hupporty could end up being a piece in the future. He's another guy who, I like when we can get a decent lead, we blow some teams out. Get Hupporty in there, get him some minutes, see what he can do. I like Hupporty, man. I do. I think he's got skills, and I saw it in the summer league. And the thing about him that I like too is that he can catch. Sims can't catch. You can't throw Sims no slick pass. Sims is like that dude who he's on the football team and he sprouts up in high school. He gets tall. And so once he becomes that tall, it's like, hey, yo, the basketball coach is like, come on, man, come on out. And then first couple seasons, he's so much bigger and so much stronger than everybody else, but the motherfucker can't catch. And you learn, like, I can't drop no dime to him. I can't do it. He's not going to catch it. He's just not. Tim Sims, you got to grab a rebound and put it back. That's the best you could do. Yeah, man. This Knicks team, man, they're sitting at 31-16. If back at the beginning of the season, somebody told you that they were going to be 31-16 at this point, you would have absolutely taken it. I know I would have. We are third in the East. We've had the easiest schedule thus far, and the schedule is going to get more difficult. But this Knicks team has shown there's still another level that we can go up. And hopefully this is them hitting their stride and doing exactly that. My pop said something interesting in our last podcast. Once again, he did this to me. Sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. New episode will drop this Thursday. But over on our podcast, he made the point that people have always said about this Knicks team is that they play so hard in the regular season all the time, and they so overachieve that when you actually get to the postseason, other teams raise a level and the Knicks don't have that extra level to raise. Maybe that's changed with this year's team because this team does have an extra level they can go. We've seen it happen here just this last week. As far as the defense is concerned, I think that X's and O's wise, running more sets late in games, running more pick and rolls with obviously the best pick and roll duo, I think in the NBA, I think that would be huge. And then if we can figure out how to be a little bit more deliberate, I think, in late close games and get and hunt matchups that we want, and we can continue to be more diverse with how we play point of attack and pick and roll defense. And if we can continue to just turn up the intensity for closer to 48 minutes, as opposed to every once in a while like we had been. If we can get defensive efforts like we've seen in these last 2 games, specifically this Grizllies game, this Knicks team is a problem, man. I thought that they played 50. And Precious, I'm telling you, Precious is going to continue. Yo, don't forget, Precious is 25 years old. Don't be surprised if a couple years from now, Precious has a bag better than OG's. Hot take. But he's hitting that corner 3. Yesterday he dribbled out into a wing 3. I like what I see out of Precious. You know what's crazy? I ain't said nothing about Brunson yet. Yo, man, Brunson, man, he's just the consummate professional. He's our captain. He's our leader. He gives us whatever we need. He, plays through bad officiating. He sunned Ja Morant a couple times yesterday. A couple times hit him with a jab. Trey ball, take that. Him and Cat, I thought, had points in the third quarter where they just got like kind of annoyed and were like, all right, man, hold up. Let me show these motherfuckers what time it is. There's not enough. There's no words for what Brunson means to this organization, what he has brought to this organization with his leadership, with his play on the court, and his ability to Give this team whatever they need. The fact that he's matured into more of a facilitator this year with a better roster around him is not something that I ever doubted would be the case, but it's been a beauty to watch. He's just been excellent, and he is going to be an all-star starter for the first time in his career, second time all-star, well deserved. We got 2 all-stars for the first time since Clyde Frazier and Earl Monroe. 2 all-star starters, that is. And I think that there's a chance that we may have a third all-star because when it comes to coaches, you saw how Josh Hart got love from the players as far as the votes are concerned. And when it comes to coaches, you know that they recognize how good a guy like Josh Hart is. You got LaMelo Ball just going down with an injury, so he might not be able to, that's a spot that opens up. And I think that Josh Hart has a chance, man. You get a little bit of media buzz behind it too, he's got a chance. It was just a great win last night. And it is looking like this Knicks team has a chance to really contend this year. I hate when I hear people talk about this team that we built for the future. Man, when you one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the league, you got to go. You want to win right now. Yeah, man, this Knicks team, we got a chance to do something. But again, if we come out and we lay an egg against Denver, I'll be like, I try not to get too up and down, but this Knicks team has played very up and down this season at certain points. And now we got shout to my man, Gary B in the chat. Gary B he's basically my uncle. He's my dad's best friend since they were 4. Always showing love. Really appreciate it. And you getting in here. You might have to get on the replay gang though, because we've been live for 56 minutes. We're about to wrap it up. Appreciate all the love, man. Cody Glock being in the chat is an absolute honor. As a person who has spent many hours listening to Knicks Fans TV and cracking up whenever I'll go and I'll look, especially when you weren't contributing consistently. I go and if I don't watch an episode all the way through, I still look at the chapters and make sure that there wasn't a Cody Glock appearance, because if there is, I got to check it out. So just salute, mad love to you. And Darlene, you always rocking with us. Appreciate you. Keith Watkins, super fan, my guy. Always appreciate you. I have my guy coaching here. You're my guy CPNY. He made a appearance in the chat. So really appreciate all the love. Give it that like, give it that subscribe, share, comment. I'm on all the platforms. Twitch. I'm on YouTube. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram, but go over to that YouTube and hit that subscribe. That's the one that helps me the most, and that's the one that helps you stay connected the most. Appreciate the love, for sure. Yeah, man, but this Knicks team, man, they're showing something. Cody Glock tuning in every episode. My guy. Big preach. And we're gonna close it off with one other thing that I think is the best way to talk about this Knicks team and where we're at right now is that yesterday leaves no excuse. We exposed ourselves. Playing at any level below what we saw yesterday has no justification. I couldn't say it better. We know what this team can do. Come out and do it every single night. Give me that defense. Give me that intensity. Some nights shots will fall. Some nights they won't. Some nights the refs will suck. If we come out and we play that type of intensity and defense on a consistent basis, the 2 seed is ours. In Cleveland, we coming for you too. And the rest of the league better be scared. It's your boy Nick on Knicks. Peace.